Good afternoon. It is a glorious sunny day in London. Snow still on the ground and it is very, very cold, but it's not awful. So here we are. We're back with the baby chilli plants to see how we're doing. Right, so I've taken the covers off here. So the temperature is about 85 and I've not actually got the heated propagators on. It's warm enough. So we had a bit of a disaster this week. So midweek I lowered the light. So I moved it down closer to the top of the plants because you're meant to get it as close as you can. Left it overnight, and the following morning most of the plants had been burnt and wilted quite badly. And the temperature, when I checked it, you'll see in a minute it's like 85 in there, was up to just over 100. So basically I cooked the plants off. Now this happened last year when I was just using the windowsill propagators as well on a particularly hot day. It's something you've really got to watch out for. So I've put the light back up high, and the way I dealt with it was I got them straight out, gave them a damn good drink. Well, what you'll see is there is some lasting damage, so you may be able to see the leaves here. They're kind of charred, browned, discoloured, and you can hear dried out. I had tremendous luck because it's basically they've all come back. A couple of them have gone a bit soft and floppy, and you'll see some damage to the leaves there. So what I'll do a little bit later is I'll find any damaged leaves and I'll just cut them off, because there's no point in the plant putting all of its energy into leaves that are dead or dying. Right, so the big challenge for today is we're going to pot all of these on. So I went online and I got some very, very cheap and nasty, I think these are 7cm pots. I've got square rather than round because I'll be putting them back into the propagator, and if they're round we're losing a bit of volume around the corners, and you want to give them as much room as you possibly can for their root bowl. I can't pot all of these on. You'll see there's a few that just haven't really made it. And I think if I've done my maths right, I can get about 30 in each of these, 60, and I think there's just over 70 plants here. So I'll have to be a little bit ruthless and just pick the runners that are going to grow. So really good place to be. I'll shut off in a second and then I'll show you how my method of potting on. I'm sure everybody does it their own way, but this is something that works for me. Cheers. Right, welcome back. Just going to do the potting on bit now. So what we've obviously got is we've got all these trays full of our little seedlings coming through. You can see that they've well outgrown the covers that would normally be over them. So it's time to move them on. So they're going to have quite a healthy little root ball, hopefully. So what I've got is got a number of stages here. So I've got the little pots I was telling you about, square ones, that's all good. Got some soil. This is the seedling soil that I've used previously for putting them in the seedling trays. Again, it's very it's very sandy, very, very light, and got very good drainage, so that's all good. These are the ones we're going to move over in a second. And it's a bit messy. I'm doing this indoors. See why I'm doing it indoors? Because these have been living in an environment of about 85 degrees. If I take them up to the greenhouse where it is literally freezing, it's going to do some serious damage. It's traumatic enough for these seedlings being planted on. You usually get a little bit of wilting and they don't feel very well for it. So the last thing I want to do is actually put them in a really freezing environment. And one of the things that we'll do later is when I water these, I'll actually water them with slightly warmer water than normal, just to keep the temperature up. So the basic ingredient here is a spoon. This is the best way of getting them out. What I'm ultimately looking to do is get them into these pots. Now again, if I can just show you a bit about the height. So what I've done is I've taken these out and I've dropped them down right down to the very, very bottom. Right down to the very bottom of these new pots, so that the dirt is actually covering right the way up the shaft, just leaving the bit at the top sticking out. and that will give them like amazing root growth. These will get potted on again, obviously into larger pots when they're big enough. So that's basically the practicalities of what we're doing. So let's just take a little look at how we do this. So first off, you got your dirt and you got your pot. Now the light's not brilliant here. Yeah, maybe if I do that you'll see. So what I've done is I've just put a very light layer at the bottom of the pot, and I've made like a little snug, just like a little hole really. The idea is I'm going to take the root bowl and I'm going to put it right in there. So let's see if I can get this on the camera. Right, so what we're looking at, it's almost like cutting a piece of cake. So I'm looking at this little fella here. There's the stem, there's the roots. This is the one I cut out earlier. I'm just very gently, almost like when you get ice cream out, just very gently going to take that out. I said this gets a little bit messy, so oh, there you go. So I want to be really careful not to damage this root bowl. So I'm just going to leave that as intact as I can. Now you can't see any roots at the bottom there, so I think that's very well protected, but you can see a little bit of root there. So I think that's all good. So taking the little pot, it's got that indentation. I want to put this in so that this will just sit in the indentation. I'm just going to drop it in here for a second. Ooh. This is a bit fiddly, but ultimately I just want to be able to have it all nice and square, so that the plant's sticking up in the middle, kind of like a little ray of light reaching up to the sun. That'll do. So you can see I've just pushed him in very gently around the bottom there. So the next thing I'm going to do, just take some soil, just with my hand lay that in all around it. Again, I'm trying to make sure my plant's nice and central, so it's going to grow up and up and up towards the light form. I don't want it crooked or anything, I'm retarded. There you go. So now I've got the position right, I'm just going to push it down with my thumbs, so you can see it's got a nice kind of firm base there. And then I'm just going to put a little more loose soil just on top. And what you want to do ideally is not go right up to the top with these, because when you water from the top you want probably a good couple of centimetres there for your water to sit in and for it to drain through. So that is kind of what we're looking for. So that little fella is all ready to go. So I've got, I think, 60 odd of these to do. So I'll turn it all off now and I'll come back to it once I've finished it. Cheers. So welcome back, just a bit of a progress update. So I've got 4 different types of chilli that I've presented so far. As you can see, they're all nicely packed in. What I want to do is just make sure they're moist enough. So I've got my 2 windowsill propagators. They're not switched on at the minute, and I've just put some water in there, just about half an inch, and this is warm water, not hot, just warm out the tap, so it's cooling. And all I'm going to do then is just take each of these and just sit it in there. I'll leave them there for a few minutes and just let them take on that water, just start coming up through the soil. So that's all of my red habaneros there, which is all cool. And I've got my Tabascos. And I'll do those in a minute. So what I'm going to do then is I'll transfer them over into one of the 2 propagators. These are both on, so they're nice and warm. And then I'll fill the 2 propagators up, and I'll come back once I've done that. Welcome back. It's a little bit later on Saturday and I've finished all the repotting now. Seems to have gone quite well. As you can see, everyone's got their own little square pot, so they can develop a nice big root bowl. Everyone's labelled up. I've had to bin off a few of the smaller plants, couldn't fit them all in, which is always unpleasant, but you've got to make room for the ones that are going to make it. What you probably won't be able to see is quite how deeply these are buried. So you'll see some of these are buried right up to the first set of leaves, whereas some of the longer ones, that's kind of halfway up the stem on this one, whereas some of the others, that's virtually the entire stem is underground now. So this is great. This is just where we want to be. So I've got them both in the propagators, which is all good. They're under the light. I've got a couple of little ones I couldn't quite fit in, and I didn't have the heart to get rid of, so I'll grow them outside and just see how we go. And this is just a bit of fun as well. These are brugmansias. I won't deal with them in this video, but these are basically trumpet plants. They're the most beautiful thing you can possibly imagine when they come up. So I just bought these off of eBay. I've had great success with these previously. You have to dig them out every year and wrap them up in your greenhouse so they don't die over the winter, but they're great, and I'll grow those in here using the light as well. And just, you can see it's getting into dusk. What this has let me do now is just let me repopulate all of the windowsill propagators. So just like we did before, I've got these all damped down, heating that through, and I will do the seeds in these. If I have time, I'll do them tomorrow, and if not, I'll do them sometime during the week and get a second crop of chilies on. So that's all good. And this is London Porter. It is by far the best gardening beer ever. It's perfect for your green fingers. So that's it for today's update. Take care. See you soon.